Your body is running emergency software right now. Software designed for a world that ended 10,000 years ago. And that ancient operating system is the single biggest reason you can't build the life you keep imagining. The gap between where you are and where you want to be has almost nothing to do with strategy, talent, or motivation. It has everything to do with which biological state you're operating from when you sit down to work. There are two fundamental modes your body runs. One is built for threat, the other is built for building. And the difference between people who stay stuck and people who create something meaningful often comes down to which mode is running in the background while they make decisions. Your body doesn't care about your 5-year plan. It cares about whether the next 60 seconds are safe. When your system locks into threat mode, your entire biology reorganizes around one goal: get through this. Blood moves away from your digestive organs and toward your limbs. Your pupils dilate. Your breathing gets shallow. Your thinking narrows to a laser focus on what could go wrong. This is brilliant engineering if a predator is chasing you. The problem is your body runs this same program when you check your bank account, open a difficult email, or sit in traffic running late. And that narrowing effect on your thinking is where the real damage happens. When you're in survival mode, you can only see problems. Your brain is scanning for threats, so every input gets filtered through a single question. Is this dangerous? Creative thinking requires the opposite. It requires open attention, the ability to hold multiple possibilities simultaneously, a willingness to sit with uncertainty long enough for new connections to form. You literally cannot access that wiring while your body thinks you're under attack. The hardware is occupied. So what does this look like in daily life? You wake up and immediately reach for your phone. Emails, notifications, news. Each one a small signal to your body that something out there needs your attention, your reaction, your defense. By the time you've finished your morning scroll, you've triggered dozens of micro-threat responses. You haven't built anything. You've spent your freshest hours in a defensive crouch. And you call it catching up. Days of low-grade threat response stack into weeks into months. Your body starts treating survival mode as the default setting. The stress hormones that were meant to spike briefly and then dissipate begin to idle at a constant hum. That background hum feels normal after long enough. You stop noticing it the same way you stop hearing a refrigerator. But your biology is still paying the cost. The shift from survival to creation starts with something that sounds almost too simple. You have to convince your body, the actual tissue, the actual chemistry, that right now in this moment, nothing is trying to kill you. Your mind already knows this. Your body doesn't trust your mind. It trusts sensation. This is why breathing works when nothing else does. A long, slow exhale activates the vagus nerve, which runs from your brainstem, down through your chest, and into your gut. That nerve is essentially a direct line between your body and the part of your brain that decides whether the environment is safe. When you extend your exhale past about 6 seconds, you're sending a signal that translates roughly to, if I had time to breathe this slowly, there must be no predator. The system downgrades the threat level. Blood returns to your organs, your thinking widens. One breath cycle won't rewire decades of conditioning. But here's what researchers found when they tracked people who practiced extended exhales for just 10 minutes a day across several weeks. The baseline shifted. Their resting state moved closer to calm. The refrigerator hum got quieter, and the window of creative, expansive thinking got wider, available for more hours of the day. The breathing is just the entry point, though. The deeper shift requires changing what you do in the first hour after you wake up. That window matters more than any other block of time, because your neurochemistry is already primed for it. Certain hormones peak in the first 90 minutes after waking. If you funnel that chemistry into threat scanning, phone, email, news, you've spent your best biological currency on defense. If you funnel it into building something, even something small, you've told your body that the morning belongs to creation. This is where most advice gets it backwards. People try to force creative output through discipline while their body is still locked in survival mode. They sit down to write, to plan, to build, and they feel resistance as laziness or lack of willpower. Actually, their body is saying, "We don't have time for this. Something might be wrong. Stay alert." Pushing harder against that signal is like trying to sprint with the parking brake on. You'll move, but slowly, painfully, and you'll burn out fast. The sequence matters. Safety first, then creation. You can't reverse the order, a practice that sounds strange but works. Before you start any creative work, spend 2 minutes doing something your body reads as safe. Drink something warm. Sit with both feet flat on the floor and feel the contact. Look around the room slowly and let your eyes land on objects without purpose. This is called orienting, and it's something every animal does after a threat passes. The deer that escaped the wolf doesn't immediately start grazing. It stands still, looks around, confirms the meadow is safe, then it eats. You need that same transition. Critics of this approach point out that some stress enhances performance. They're right. Short bursts of activation sharpen focus and speed reaction time. Athletes, surgeons, and traders all perform well under acute stress because the task is clear and time-limited. The key word is acute, a sprint. The problem most people face is chronic survival activation, a marathon of low-grade alarm that never resolves into either action or safety. That chronic hum doesn't sharpen anything. It erodes, so the question becomes, what are you building your days around? If every block of time is a response to something, an email that needs answering, a deadline someone else set, a problem that arrived in your inbox, you're spending your life in reaction. Reaction is survival's language. Creation requires a different grammar entirely. It requires blocks of time when nothing is wrong, nothing needs fixing, and the only question is, what do I want to bring into existence? That question is almost physically uncomfortable for someone who has spent years in survival mode. The openness of it, the lack of urgency, your body might interpret that spaciousness as dangerous, because in survival mode, stillness means you've missed something. You'll feel the pull to check, to scroll, to find a problem to solve. That pull is the old software trying to reassert itself. Let it pull. Notice it. And then stay in the open space for 30 seconds longer than feels comfortable. Those 30 seconds are where the rewiring happens. Each time you sit in creative openness while your body screams for threat scanning, and you stay anyway, you're teaching your system a new association. Open space equals safe. Stillness equals productive. Building equals the point. Over weeks, the threshold drops, the discomfort fades, the creative state becomes accessible faster, lasts longer, holds more depth. You'll know the shift is taking root when your morning changes. When you wake up and your first impulse is towards something you're building rather than something you're defending against. When problems still arrive but they feel like weather instead of earthquakes. When you catch yourself mid-creation and realize an hour passed without a single check of your phone. That moment, when building feels more natural than bracing, is the body catching up to what the mind always knew. You were never meant to spend your whole life running. The running was supposed to end. The meadow was supposed to come after. You've been standing in it this whole time. You just forgot to look around.